in the stories we tell. If you liked the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. I was born the legitimate daughter of the Chancellor's Manor. However, from a young age, I was sent away to be raised in a nunnery. My body was frail and slender, and my temperament was submissive. A mere gentle breeze was enough to make me unsteady on my feet. My scum father, Chancellor Song, detested me for being improper, so he punished me by making me kneel in the ancestral hall. That night, a fire suddenly broke out, burning all the ancestral tablets to ashes. When my elder brother, Justin Song, was forced to choose one of us to save, he chose my stepsister without hesitation. Not long after, Justin met with an accident while riding his horse and broke one of his legs. My fiancé, Lucas Liu, publicly declared that the only one he loved was my stepsister, Cindy Song. That very night his head was shaved bald. No one suspected me, simply because I looked far too fragile. Until one day, when I was secretly slipping laxatives to Crown Prince Edward, I was caught red-handed by Prince Sebastian Shao. Very well, I had finally been discovered. Concealing it had been exhausting work. I held a dagger against Prince Sebastian's neck, slowly lowering it as my voice drifted past his ear like a breeze. Join me, or join the Eastern Depot. You choose one. I am the daughter born to the official wife of the current chancellor. A few years ago, Grandmother Song fell seriously ill. Concubine Bella invited a Taoist priest to perform a ritual, who then loudly accused me of carrying a destiny that harmed my grandmother. Because of that, I was sent straight to the nunnery. I was gone for 10 full years. Now that I was 17 and it was time to discuss marriage, my father, Victor Song, finally remembered my existence. The carriage from the Chancellor's Manor stopped right in front of the nunnery gate. The nuns saw me off with trembling hands and feet, their eyes looking as if they were sending away a plague god. The master rushed over, instructing me incessantly. Sophia Song, you must remember this well. Absolutely do not let anyone discover your true self. No matter the time, you must remind yourself that you are just a frail woman. I whispered a reply, casually placing a small rabbit I had just strangled into the master's hand. Master, you can use this for dinner. Consider it a parting gift from your disciple. The corners of the old master's mouth twitched, but he still accepted the rabbit. He took a deep breath and said, "You are a weak woman. In the future, you must absolutely not kill any living creature in front of others. How could you possibly commit slaughter? No, you are that fragile beauty." All right, I am a fragile beauty. I have heard this so much my ears are bleeding. The old servant woman from the Chancellor's Manor waited until she lost her patience, her face darkening as she urged me. "Eldest miss, hurry up and get in the carriage. If we are late, old Madame Song and the Chancellor will blame us." I obediently responded, covering my mouth with a handkerchief, and timidly climbed onto the carriage bit by bit. Another servant woman saw my slowness and snorted in disdain. "She is nothing but unpresentable trash. How can she compare to the second miss?" The second miss she mentioned was my stepsister Cindy, born to the noble concubine. In the manor, there was also an elder brother, Justin. Although he was registered under my mother's name when he was young, in reality, he was also the son of the concubine. That noble concubine, Bella Zhuang, came from a brothel but was very favored by my father. After my mother passed away, I was completely alone in the Chancellor's Manor, with no one to rely on. Once, when a distant relative harassed me, I beat him unconscious and dragged him straight into the pond. When the people in the manor discovered this, they found an excuse to send me away. That day, Grandmother Song pointed straight at my nose and cursed, "You vile spawn." After being sent to the nunnery, the nuns followed concubine Bella's wishes and tried their best to oppress and torture me, beating me until I was covered in injuries. That night, I caught a whole sack of snakes, stuffed them all into the nuns' sleeping quarters, and locked the door from the outside. The master was an old man I picked up by the roadside. He taught me many things but always forced me to pretend to be weak. He often advised me, "Sophia, just be a normal little girl. Do not wipe out the whole group at the slightest provocation. You must know your limits when you act." Later on, I no longer laid a cruel hand on the nuns. They obediently listened to my orders, helping me spread fake news to the capital, and bringing all the letters concubine Bella sent for me to see. Concubine Bella always instructed them to secretly drug me with a type of medicine that would make a person become increasingly obese and ugly. I quietly gathered all that medicine and brought it back to the capital, so that mother and daughter could taste it themselves. The carriage stopped in front of the Chancellor's Manor. No one came out to welcome me. The servant women also gradually revealed their annoyance. One of them muttered, "The eldest miss is not favored. She grew up in a nunnery since childhood and looks no different from a rural village girl." This trip was truly a waste of effort. Escorting her back to the manor without receiving any reward money means there is naturally no profit at all. I had just taken out a packet of deadly black widow poison, but I slowly put it back. In my heart, I silently reminded myself, I am a weak woman. I must know how to endure. Therefore, I only scattered a little itching powder. 3 servant women immediately felt their whole bodies itch violently. They frantically scratched themselves right there, their appearance and clothes becoming disheveled. Grandmother Song was furious and ordered each of them to receive 10 strokes. I blinked, standing to one side with a panicked expression. No one was allowed to suspect me. Grandmother looked me up and down and spoke slowly. "I haven't seen you in 10 years. You have become even more beautiful. You are indeed worthy of being the eldest miss of the Chancellor's manor. With such a good appearance, you were not buried after all." Concubine Bella seemed unable to believe it, her eyes glued to me again and again. She had no idea that the letters she received were all written by the nuns on my behalf. The letters had tricked her into believing I had been tortured until I looked like neither human nor ghost. At this moment, Bella's face looked as if she had seen a ghost. My stepsister, Cindy, finally could not hold back and blurted out, "How can this be? How can she be so beautiful?" Bella hurriedly cut her off, signaling with her eyes, "Do not talk nonsense." It seems Cindy is also very clear about the fact that her mother secretly fed me drugs. I blinked my big eyes, looking at them with a pure and innocent face, and asked softly, "Aunt Bella, second sister, why are you two so surprised? Is it that after 10 years of not meeting, you find me unfamiliar?" After saying this, I let clear tears roll down my cheeks, looking both aggrieved and sobbing. Or has the family forgotten me? Boo-hoo, it truly breaks one's heart. Grandmother Song found it annoying to listen to, so she hurriedly said a few words to comfort me and ordered the servants to bring rewards. I thanked her and obediently accepted them. The faces of Bella and her daughter were twisted and unsightly, but they still had to force a smile. Not until that scum of a father returned to the manor did the family banquet officially begin. Bella deliberately pulled me to sit next to her. This was exactly what I wanted, as it made it more convenient for her to administer the drug. In front of my father, Bella personally ladled soup and handed it to me. "Sophia is so thin. 10 years in the nunnery must have been spent wholeheartedly on cultivation. Come to think of it, the murderous aura on her has also dissipated." I saw Bella's fingertips move slightly. She wanted to play tricks again. I went along with her act, otherwise how could I prove I was weak? She brought the bowl of soup over. Just as my hand touched the rim of the bowl, she let go. Crash. The bowl of soup fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. I shrank back, not burned but frightened, and screamed, "Aunt Bella, why did you let go so quickly?" I had not even caught it yet. Bella's face immediately changed, and she hurriedly acted her part. "Sophia, were you burned? It is my fault. It is absolutely not because you failed to catch it. It is all my fault." Then she turned to my father and spoke softly. "Master, I had good intentions but ruined the matter. Let me tell the servants to change the bowl and chopsticks." My father's face darkened completely. He scolded me for not being dignified enough. Screaming loudly like that, what kind of manners are these? Are you that cowardly? It is just a broken bowl. I did not answer, only lowered my head and shed tears. I am so weak, so naturally. The things happening in the manor tonight could not be related to me. My father frowned, becoming even more impatient. "Go to the ancestral hall and kneel. You can only come out when you have finished reflecting on yourself." I was so scared that I froze, my body swaying and my face pale as I was dragged away by the servant women. The smiles on the faces of Bella and her daughter were truly hard to hide. "You like smiling that much? Then I must definitely ruin your mouths. Tomorrow, I fear you will no longer be able to smile." The moon was bright and the stars were sparse. The dead of night was the most suitable time to set a fire. I looked at the ancestral tablets of the Song family, and remembered my mother who had died of illness. Why was my mother's tablet not placed in the ancestral hall? Since that is the case, burn it all down. The flame from the candles slowly caught onto the curtains. Before the fire could erupt into a sea of flames, I had already jumped out the window, glided onto the roof, and followed it to find Cindy's bedroom. My stepsister's room was indeed luxurious. She was sleeping soundly like a dead pig. I gently placed the poison at the corner of her lips. Not long after, I stopped by Bella's room. She and that scum of a father were hugging each other, sleeping soundly like pigs. after dosing Bella. I thought for a moment and conveniently gave my father a portion as well. I could not be biased. Fire. Put out the fire. Hurry and put out the fire. The huge fire finally woke up that scum of a father. By the time he frantically ran over, the ancestral tablets were beyond saving. As for me, taking advantage of the chaos, I made a round to the kitchen, gnawed on 2 large chicken drumsticks, and then leisurely returned to the vicinity of the ancestral hall. When the servants found me, I was lying prone by the mouth of the well, unable to move because I had eaten too much. They thought I was about to die, so no one dared to approach. I had to slowly crawl up by myself, crying until I was out of breath, my words messy and broken. Scared me to death. Boo-hoo. I looked toward my scum father and Bella, raising my hand to point behind them. Mother, your daughter almost got to meet you. My father and Bella, with their clothes in disarray, shivered from the night wind blowing, yet they still unconsciously turned their heads to look behind. Father shouted, "You were fine in the ancestral hall, so why did it catch fire?" I stared straight ahead, mumbling as if delirious. Mother, did you come to pick up your daughter? After saying that, I closed my eyes, my body going limp and weak as I fell down. Grandmother Song hurriedly ran over, also looking around in all directions, clasping her hands before her chest as if she was also afraid of seeing something she should not see. She shouted urgently, "Do not let her die like that. We are about to discuss the marriage with the Liu family. Hurry and carry her down." Truly a useless coward. Oh, that is right, I almost forgot. When my mother was still alive, Madame Liu had arranged a marriage engagement with her since childhood. Madame Liu only accepted me as her daughter-in-law. Also, because I was overly weak, when the ancestral hall caught fire, no one suspected me. Everyone thought I had great luck escaping the sea of fire. The next day, the corners of the mouths of my scum father, Bella, and Cindy all broke out with a ring of burning blisters. The doctors were helpless and could only prescribe a few doses of cooling medicine, but this matter was too strange. I do not know which big mouth dropped a sentence. Last night, the eldest miss saw Madame's ghost. What? Is there a hidden story behind Madame's death? Could it be that the Madame was murdered? Did you hear? The ancestral hall caught fire because the Madame's soul returned for revenge, otherwise why would the eldest miss escape the fire safely? The Madame certainly would not harm her own daughter, do you not know? Those 3 people breaking out in blisters are caused by the Madame's ghost. Rumors spread fast, 1 telling 10, 10 telling 100. In less than a day, the entire Chancellor's manor was submerged in gloomy dark clouds. Bella and her daughter had to use silk scarves to cover their faces. Bella used her old trick again, seeking out the Taoist priest who had once slandered me as a jinx, intending to blame me once more. These past 2 days might have been a bit unlucky, but it is also an opportunity. As long as Sophia is alive, the marriage with the Liu family will never fall to my daughter. Cindy choked up and said, "Mother, when will the blisters around my mouth finally go away? I have not seen Brother Lucas for a long time." Bella comforted Cindy, while giving the Taoist priest a few instructions, then left with her. As soon as they were out of sight, I lightly landed from the roof. Before the priest could even open his mouth, I opened my hand and blew gently. Bone, softening powder immediately drifted straight into his face. Before long, the room was filled with screams as miserable as a pig being slaughtered. So noisy. I decisively dislocated his jaw. I tilted my head, squinting and smiling at the wicked priest. "Do you still remember me? The eldest miss of the Song family, whom you judged as a jinx 10 years ago." The priest could only make a few muffled sounds. I casually stuffed a goo bug into his mouth, my smile becoming even more radiant. "Do not be afraid. It is just a bloodthirsty goo bug. It will slowly suck your blood, growing larger inside your body until it gnaws your heart to pieces." The priest's eyes bulged, and he almost fainted. I pinched his philtrum hard, not allowing him to fall unconscious. I told him, "Tomorrow you will come to the door and do exactly as I say." I spoke neatly and clearly. He nodded repeatedly. I drew him a path of escape. "Obediently listen to me, and I will remove the goo for you." That was a lie. There is basically no antidote. To remove the goo, one can only gouge the living bug out. I am truly still too soft-hearted and kind, unwilling to kill him directly. The next day, the priest indeed came to the door. Bella and her daughter still covered their faces with scarves. The two exchanged a glance, as if everything was within their calculations. But when the priest unexpectedly pointed straight at the 2 of them, saying that they were the true jinxes, the faces of both instantly stiffened. "You are talking nonsense." The priest immediately prostrated himself before Grandmother Song, Old madam, this poor priest is old and does not dare to continue doing immoral deeds. 10 years ago, it was Bella who bribed this poor priest, ordering me to frame the eldest miss. In reality, she is the root of the disaster. Grandmother Song had always believed in these things the most. As soon as Bella lunged forward, grandmother immediately waved her hand to push her away. Do not come near me. I covered my lips with a handkerchief, sobbing. Is that really true? Aunt Bella, why did you harm me? I am just a weak woman, and you cannot even tolerate me. You targeted me like that. Could it be because of second sister? Mother and daughter were completely stunned. The corner of the priest's mouth twitched violently. He glanced at me and then hurriedly turned away, so afraid of me that he dared not look again. He bit onto Bella once more. Old madam, the words this poor priest said are all true. If the true jinx in the noble manor is not removed, the consequences will be unpredictable, and heaven will send down punishment. Grandmother believed it. After all, the ancestral tablets had been burned clean. Bella knelt down to beg grandmother for mercy, but grandmother coldly refused. Where are the servants? Drag Bella to the small Buddhist hall. Without my order, she is not allowed to take half a step out. I lowered my voice and chimed in gently. Grandmother, for the 10 years I was in the nunnery, I ate vegetarian food every day. The nun said eating vegetarian food can purify evil energy. Upon hearing this, grandmother immediately ordered the servant women. From today on, Bella's 3 meals will be changed to green vegetables and thin porridge. Bella was dragged away, and Cindy was also implicated and disliked. Grandmother was afraid of being affected, so she did not allow her to serve by her side anymore. Taking the opportunity, I softly suggested. Grandmother, father is in his middle age and cannot lack a confidante to serve him. It is time to take in more concubines. Grandmother was so scared that she returned to her room to wash her hands again and again, worried that she had been tainted by something filthy. But she had no idea that I had placed a heart-eating bug on her. An old woman with a black heart is worthy of being used to raise goo. Grandmother nodded in agreement and ordered the steward to go select someone. I stopped by the brothel to find a woman with syphilis and brought her into the manor. The steward, whom my mother had treated kindly and promoted, cooperated with me to change that woman's identity. In the blink of an eye, she became the small concubine of my scum father. That night, the small concubine was sent straight to his room. He was extremely satisfied, his blade not yet dull, and he called for water 3 times in the middle of the night. I am truly a filial daughter. Before sending him to his grave, I remembered to let him enjoy pleasure for a few more days. As soon as Bella met with trouble, Cindy immediately sent someone to the Western Capital camp to call my elder brother back. Although my elder brother, Justin, was adopted under my mother's name to occupy the status of a legitimate son, his heart had always leaned toward Bella and her daughter. 10 years ago, on the day I was sent to the nunnery, Justin hugged Cindy and said, "Second sister, from now on, you are the only young lady of the Song family." Clearly, when my mother was still alive, she treated him extremely well. Indeed, he is another one with a black heart. Justin came to my courtyard, originally intending to scold me, but seeing me staring blankly and shedding tears, he opened his mouth for a long time but could not find words to say. I choked up. "Brother Justin, you are so fierce. Did your younger sister do something wrong?" Justin's anger vanished. He scratched his head, blaming himself. "I am truly confused. How could I suspect you? You are so cowardly and afraid of trouble." As the wind brushed past, my body trembled violently. I clutched my chest with one hand, breathing with difficulty. "Brother Justin, I was wrong. 10 years ago, I did not understand things, and now I am wrong again." Justin frowned. "Where were you wrong?" I blinked. "I do not know. Everyone blames me, so I immediately admit my mistake." Justin was speechless. Finally, he just sighed and went to beg Grandmother Song. Unfortunately, Grandmother was so selfish that not even a grain of salt could pass through her. She resolutely refused to release Bella, fearing Bella would harm her. 2 days later, Cindy and I followed Grandmother up the mountain to pray to Buddha. Grandmother dared not tell anyone that she had seen my mother for 2 consecutive nights. It was also my fault for missing my mother too much. Unable to sleep in the middle of the night, I wore my mother's clothes and wandered everywhere. It was precisely because I drifted through the Chancellor's manor that night that I accidentally saw Cindy sneaking out to meet Bella. The mother and daughter discussed a plan. They intended to take advantage of the trip up the mountain to hire bandits to kidnap me and ruin my reputation. That way, the marriage between the Song and Liu families could only fall into Cindy's hands. The two were talking very excitedly when I suddenly jumped out, scaring them into screaming and running away. That night, Cindy slept restlessly, so I graciously cared for her. Second sister, the dark circles under your eyes are deep, and your skin is dull. Have you been eating a lot lately? Your waist is also bigger. The medicine was slowly beginning to take effect. I was just reminding her. Cindy glared at me. You fall over if a mere breeze blows, so you should just worry about yourself. I leaned on grandmother, pressing on her neck until it hurt. That is right, I am very weak. The incense burning went smoothly. However, when we went down the mountain, bandits appeared as expected and even set up a scenario where one of two had to be chosen. I could feel Cindy's arrogance. She even glanced sideways at me. Even though half her face was covered, I could read the contempt on it. One of the bandits spoke up. Eldest young Master Song, both of these are your younger sisters, but today you can only take one away. Justin pointed directly at Cindy without hesitation. The bandits released Cindy and kept me. Grandmother was busy running for her life, so the whole group left immediately without even turning their heads back. I was speechless. The bandits laughed lewdly. So fresh and tender, we made a big profit on this trip. Just a few breaths later, the miserable screams of the bandits startled the forest birds. The flock of birds flapped their wings and scattered in panic. The group from the Song family had not gone far when Justin's horse suddenly reared up high, throwing him off its back. I retracted the hidden arrow in my sleeve and watched with my own eyes as Justin broke a leg. Task, since he had crippled, can he continue to stay at the Western Capital camp? In that case, I might as well add another poison needle. Justin howled miserably again, sounding even worse than a pig being slaughtered for the new year. I returned to the manor safe and sound. The manor was in chaos. Grandmother and Cindy had not even had time to question my innocence when I walked weakly to the outside of Justin's room. I held the railing with one hand and clutched my chest with the other. Brother, are you going to die? Basins of blood were carried out. How pitiful, it seems he will not die immediately. Then just live a lingering life. The master instructed that one must know their limits, so I cannot directly kill everyone. Wiping them all out would be too cruel. In the end, Justin kept his life, but he had certainly become a cripple. My scum father returned to the manor, sighing incessantly, and sent people to investigate those bandits. Luckily I had already sent them on a path to the afterlife. Just as Cindy was questioning my innocence, my father's men very quickly found out the truth. Cindy angrily pointed at me. Sister, you fell into the hands of bad men, so how could you return intact? Did you use some dirty means? You are the fiancée of Brother Lucas. If you lose your reputation, are you still worthy of him? Cindy thought she had the upper hand this time, but the very next second, the large hand of my scum father landed a slap on her face. You are truly a rebellious daughter. You and your mother conspired to do such wonderful things. This time, you shot yourself in the foot. Two fools, you implicated my only son. Justin was considered to have some future prospects. How pitiful for my scum father. The son he valued most was destroyed by his own beloved concubine and beloved daughter. Truly miserable. Cindy was slapped until her face went crooked and she fell to the ground. I covered my mouth with both hands, stunned with fear. What? Aunt Bella and second sister joined forces to harm brother Justin. I cried as I ran into Justin's room to tell him the truth. Brother, it was Aunt Bella and second sister who bribed the bandits to capture people. It was also the bandits who seriously injured you. Tell me, why did they want to destroy you? Justin had just woken up. Knowing he was crippled and then discovering the culprits were his own biological mother and sister, blood surged in his heart. He sprayed a mouthful of fresh blood far away and fainted again. Another extremely miserable person. Cindy was also grounded. This time she was completely without reinforcements. Unexpectedly, the maid beside her sought help from Lucas. But Lucas is my fiancé. Lucas personally came to the door, making a scene. He loudly demanded to change the marriage arrangement and also requested grandmother to release Cindy. Grandmother called me over. Lucas had not seen me for 10 years. 10 years ago, he had seen with his own eyes how I used a stone to knock out the distant relative who had insulted me. In Lucas's eyes, I was a vicious woman. He snorted coldly. I absolutely will not accept a forced marriage. If the Song family does not agree to swap the bride, I will not fulfill the engagement. I did not say a word. As if suffering a huge blow, I fainted on the spot. Lucas's imposing manner immediately dissipated. This was the first time in his life he had angered a woman to the point of fainting. Clearly a vicious woman, so why did she faint so easily? He was also confused. This matter reached the Lu Manor. Madame Lu and my mother were sworn sisters. After my mother passed away, she had always cherished old sentiments. Upon hearing that her son had caused her old friend's daughter to faint, she was furious. She directly declared, "Do not even dream of marrying that Cindy girl into this house. How can a daughter born to a woman of origin be worthy of comparison with Sophia?" That is right, Bella was originally a woman from a brothel. She knew that scum father of mine from his humble days. Before marrying my mother, father had secretly bought a house outside to keep Bella there. Only when my mother gave birth to me did he bring Bella and her children into the manor. At that time, my mother was shocked to realize she had been tricked into marriage. Bella was favored and calculated everywhere. She was proficient in tricks from the brothel and knew very well how to please men, especially that scum father. People in the manor said my mother died of depression, but I do not believe it. Since father liked prostitutes so much, I would let him die on a prostitute's belly. Since Bella liked serving others so much, later on, I would send her to the military camp. Everything was arranged clearly. Lucas consistently protected Cindy, opposing Madame Lu. If I cannot marry Cindy, then let me become a monk. Is he that infatuated? Then I will fulfill his wish. That night, I sneaked into Lucas's bedroom, pressed his acupoints to make him unconscious, and kindly helped him shave his entire head bald. The next morning, before Lucas could even leave the manor, news that he had encountered a ghost who shaved his head had spread throughout the capital. This matter was truly bizarre. People would rather suspect ghosts and gods were at work. No one suspected me. This time, even if Lucas wanted to get married, my scum father no longer wanted to. Because finally, he realized that currently, I was the only daughter left under his knees who still had some use value. Justin was crippled. Father also discovered that Cindy's face was ruined too. Her face, which could originally be considered delicate, was now dark, swollen, and no different from a pig's head. Recently, that scum father was infatuated with the small concubine, wholeheartedly wanting her to give birth to a precious son soon. But he did not know that with every act of intimacy, he took another step closer to hell. My scum father wanted to join Crown Prince Edward's faction, plotting for the Crown Prince to see my appearance. Even he did not expect that the legitimate daughter he previously detested had now blossomed into a beautiful flower. The Crown Prince already had a Crown Princess, so if I caught his eye, I could only be a concubine. That day at the Grand Princess's birthday banquet, father ordered grandmother to take me to the party. I saw Lucas wearing a wig in a place where no one was paying attention. I flicked a stone in my hand, hitting Lucas's wig cap, causing him to reveal his shiny bald head right there. In an instant, everyone caused a commotion, both shocked and trying to suppress their laughter. Lucas was so ashamed he had nowhere to hide. Who asked him to scream that he would rather become a monk than marry me? It is all his fault. I am a weak woman, so naturally, I am innocent. As soon as I turned around, I met a pair of deep, dark eyes. The owner of those eyes stood with arms crossed, dressed in brocade robes, observing me with a faint smile on his lips. It was Prince Sebastian. As soon as he opened his mouth, my body went limp, and I almost could not stand steady, only managing to hold onto the railing. "Your Highness, you scared me." The beautiful corners of Prince Sebastian's mouth twitched violently. "Miss Sophia, just now you used a single stone to accurately hit someone's wig from several yards away. No matter how I look at it, you do not resemble a weak woman. This is bad. One who walks by the river will eventually get their shoes wet." Someone was walking toward us, and Crown Prince Edward was among them. I immediately teared up, turning black into white. "Prince Sebastian, how can you say that about me? I am a bit weaker than others, but is that my fault? I do not want to be like this either." This time, Prince Sebastian could not smile anymore. Crown Prince Edward and the noble young masters looked at each other. Especially Edward, his gaze fell on my face, clearly revealing lust. Everyone began pointing fingers at Prince Sebastian. Edward said, "Brother Sebastian, although Miss Sophia has a frail body, you do not need to use this excuse to oppress her." The noble young masters chimed in. "That is right. She is just a weak woman. What Prince Sebastian did is truly excessive." I slowly raised my eyes, looking at Prince Sebastian through misty tears. Seeing his expressionless face, I spoke generously. "Forget it, I do not blame Prince Sebastian. It is because I am not good enough." Prince Sebastian suddenly laughed, his tongue lightly touching the inside of his teeth. Edward consistently comforted me. Unexpectedly, he held my hand in front of everyone, stroking it neither heavily nor lightly a few times. My scum father must have discussed this with him beforehand. Edward's reaction clearly showed he had his eyes on me and was quite satisfied. I smiled shyly, grabbed Edward's sleeve, and blew my nose hard. Edward froze. Finally, he let go of that wandering hand. I was extremely embarrassed and shrank my neck, looking like a foolish beauty, weak and helpless. Edward was both lustful and disgusted. Temporarily escaping, I sneaked into the back kitchen, lured the chef away, and put laxatives into the ginseng soup specially prepared for the crown prince. Since my scum father sided with the crown prince, I would make the crown prince lose face in front of everyone. Let him vomit and have diarrhea on the spot, so his reputation would be swept away, and he would have no face to see anyone. Truly killing without seeing blood yet hurting the heart. It suits my personality too well. Just as I finished stirring in the laxatives, a shadow fell over me. Just as I was about to fire the hidden arrow in my sleeve, I glimpsed a familiar face. It was Prince Sebastian again. I suddenly felt excited. Finally, someone discovered my true face. I tilted my head and grinned. Before Prince Sebastian could react, a silver needle shot out, hitting him straight in the neck. His pupils dilated, and a look of disbelief appeared on his handsome face. At the same time, the soft sword at his waist was drawn, but I was still one step faster. Before falling, those dark eyes were still pinned on me. I dragged Prince Sebastian to a hidden spot, and then turned back to watch the crown prince be humiliated. As predicted, Edward vomited and had diarrhea in front of the crowd of nobles, scaring the entire scene into fleeing. I left with satisfaction, focusing on playing with my new prey. The front courtyard was too noisy, so even the people in the back kitchen sneaked away to watch the excitement. I pulled the noble Prince Sebastian onto a food cart and transported him out of the Grand Princess's manor through a side door. When Prince Sebastian opened his eyes, the sky was completely dark. Before he could distinguish where he was, the dagger in my hand was already pressed against his belt. I give you two choices. Join me or join the Eastern Depot. You choose one. Prince Sebastian's face, which usually would not change color even if Mount Tai collapsed before his eyes, finally showed a change. He tried to move, only to find his hands were tied. He tried to whistle, but my fingertip placed on his lips pressed down lightly. Silly. Do not struggle anymore. Your two dark guards are sleeping soundly. Oh, that is right. You were also hit with bone, softening powder. Even if you scream until your throat tears, no one will come to save you. Since you discovered my true face, I cannot let you go. Speak. What is your choice? Prince Sebastian stiffened for a moment. His handsome face, usually calm as an ancient well, inexplicably blushed. I poked his waist with the dagger. I am asking you. Why are you blushing? The man opened his mouth, his voice slightly hoarse. Sebastian. I tilted my head, confused. He explained. My name is Sebastian. Miss Sophia, since you have chosen to join me, you should call me by my name. The dagger in my hand slowly lowered, stopping at the most critical position. Sebastian's whole body tensed up, his Adam's apple bobbing up and down. I sighed. Is the decision that easy? How boring. I should just send you to the Eastern Depot. The dagger in my hand swung up. Just at the most critical moment, Sebastian shouted, I know where your mother is. Ah, indeed I was not cruel enough. People always like to hide their cards. I knew it. Mother is still alive. A woman as brilliant as her once told me that romantic love is worthless and living well is the only principle. How could she die of depression? The dagger stopped right at the nick of time and was withdrawn. Sebastian took a deep breath. I tapped his face lightly with the dagger, smiling with narrowed eyes. Speak. You only have one chance. I do not like holding back. Sebastian took several breaths. Every word was a key point, absolutely no surplus. Chancellor Song sold his wife for glory. Your mother caught the eye of my imperial father. In a palace banquet more than 10 years ago, she was kept directly in the palace. She has always been imprisoned in the palace, serving as my imperial father's golden canary. As soon as Sebastian finished speaking, I stuffed a goo bug into his mouth. He swallowed it in a daze. What did you feed me? I continued to smile brightly. I gave you a child goo. The mother goo is on me. If I die, you must die too. Therefore, not only can you not take revenge on me, but you must also protect me thoroughly. Since you have chosen to join me, I do not mind speaking straight. I want to kill the emperor. Sebastian's eyes went wide. I lifted his chin, my fingertips slowly sliding down to lightly trace his Adam's apple a few times. Do you dare say you do not want to be the emperor? Today, I even helped you teach Crown Prince Edward a lesson. Our cooperation is like two swords combined. To tighten this alliance, you and I will get engaged. From now on, we are grasshoppers tied to the same string. Sebastian took another deep breath. Miss Sophia, you still have an engagement with Lucas. Moreover, Are you not afraid that I am not a suitable match? I tilted my head, looking at him with a very strange gaze. What do I need a suitable match for? Besides, I have 100 ways to kill you. If it does not work, I will simply switch to someone else. Sebastian was provoked into laughter, but he did not seem truly angry. Since we have reached an agreement, can Miss Sophia release me now? I smiled along with him. Why should I release you? Tonight, the ship has already sailed. Sebastian likely never dreamed in his sleep that things would develop in this direction. By the time he realized his body was not right, it was already too late. I let go of his wrists, giving him freedom, but he could no longer take a step. His dark eyes gradually turned red, and his beautiful Adam's apple moved incessantly. I raised my hand and pressed on his shoulder, pushing him step by step toward the bed. Sebastian fell down. At the critical moment he asked hoarsely, "Miss Sophia, will you take responsibility?" He seemed unsure, having a bit of distrust in me. I shrugged. Let's see your performance. At the third watch, Prince Sebastian, who had always been as steady as a rock, stared blankly at the top of the canopy. He raised his hand to scratch his high nose bridge, then scratched behind his ear. Finally, as if making some determination, his voice still hoarse and lingering with desire, "I wonder if Miss Sophia is satisfied." I perfunctorily replied. It was acceptable. I sat up, turning my back to Sebastian to dress. A man cannot be praised too much. If praised too much, he will become arrogant. When I left, Sebastian laughed angrily from behind. This prince met you for the first time today and lost his soul like this. I turned my head in confusion. If not that, then what? It is better than losing your life. I was already very restrained. Where are you still dissatisfied? Sebastian was choked into silence by me. When I returned to the Chancellor's manor, it was already dawn. Grandmother Song had just sent a servant woman to ask. Staying out all night was originally a major crime, but I threw myself into the servant woman's arms, crying bitterly. Boo-ho, I cannot live anymore. Prince Sebastian robbed me of my purity. After I bid farewell to grandmother and father, I will hang myself. The servant woman was terrified. Grandmother Song and my father heard the news and ran over immediately. The corners of my father's mouth were ulcerating more seriously. Even speaking loudly caused him pain. He said, "What exactly happened?" I lied word by word. Yesterday at the banquet in the Grand Princess's manor, I do not know who tampered with my wine. When I woke up, I found Prince Sebastian beside me. Your daughter has already had skin-to-skin contact with him. My scum father only panicked for a moment before quickly coming up with a countermeasure. Yesterday, Crown Prince Edward lost all face, and his position as the heir is hard to keep. The future new monarch naturally cannot be someone who vomited and had diarrhea in front of everyone. Even though the Liu family is noble, they cannot compare to the first prince. The eyes of my scum father lit up. Sophia, you have established a great merit. The glory and wealth of the Song family all depend on you. That very day, the old man went to the Liu family to exchange the marriage, marrying Cindy to Lucas. A daughter with a ruined face, as long as she could be sent away, was a profitable business deal to him. Lucas had not seen Cindy for a long time, so he immediately agreed. Thank you, Chancellor, for fulfilling the wish of Cindy and me. My scum father went into the palace again. When he returned, he held an imperial decree for marriage in his hand. Just like that, I quickly became the princess consort of the first prince. Before the wedding day, the Chancellor's manor was covered in dark clouds. Grandmother Song began to have heart pains. She became thinner by the day as the heart goo took effect. My scum father frequently felt itchy all over. The syphilis had also come to the time of outbreak. I stopped by to look at concubine Bella, who was round and dark, having completely lost human form. Cindy's face was plastered with powder and rouge, looking truly terrifying. Justin was crippled and became more haggard every day. This Chancellor's manor was no longer interesting. I should also pat my butt and leave to find a new battlefield, otherwise, wouldn't I die of boredom? On a dark and windy night, I barged straight into Prince Sebastian's bedroom. Sebastian woke up with a start. Shadow 4, come out. I crossed my arms, walking up to him. Do not be afraid, it is me. Look clearly, it is me. Sebastian reached out to rub his face, taking a deep breath. What are you here for? I spoke directly. To sleep with you. Sebastian rolled his eyes. More than an hour later, the prince hugged the quilt, his cheeks flushing as he cleared his throat softly and asked gently, "Are you going back tonight?" I stood up, put on my clothes, and turned my back to him. Yes, going back immediately. I came to tell you that the wedding date must be earlier. How should that be done? You surely do not need me to teach you, right? Sebastian was speechless. Is it that urgent? Of course, it is urgent. There is no need to stay in the Chancellor's manor anymore. I must enter the palace to find my mother's whereabouts. I spoke neatly. Tomorrow morning, tell the Directorate of Astronomy to report to the court that the Crown Prince encountered evil spirits, and the royal family needs a happy event to wash away the bad luck. If the Directorate of Astronomy does not listen, design a way yourself to force them to bow their heads. Before leaving, I turned back and bent down to kiss Sebastian on the lips. Soft, the texture was very good. I casually held him and kissed him for a long while longer. This was as interesting as killing people. Sebastian was very obedient. The wedding date was moved up by several days. On the day I left for the wedding, Cindy covered her face and came to see me. Sister, although you are marrying into the royal family, the one who has the true heart is me. For the rest of my life, only I can be with Brother Lucas. I glanced at her, too lazy to waste words. She has a sick brain, she must be an idiot, I said. Take advantage while you can still breathe and eat a few more bowls of rice. Cindy frowned. Sister, what do you mean by that? I only smiled and did not answer. Because the Chancellor's manor is about to be confiscated soon, and no one in the family will survive. On the wedding night, thanks to 2 previous experiences, Sebastian's performance was extremely excellent. He sighed with satisfaction. Now you are completely mine. I suddenly flipped over, pinning him down, and shook my finger in front of his eyes. No, husband, you are mine. Let me remind you one more time. You have a goo bug inside you. If you die, I still live. If I die, you can only die with me. Sebastian was left speechless. The next day at the tea ceremony, Sebastian and I added out a play together. I deliberately seduced Crown Prince Edward, and he immediately took the bait. Sebastian then stepped forward to catch the adultery. As for me, I ran crying to the Emperor. Imperial Father, please seek justice for your daughter-in-law. The Crown Prince plotted improperly against me. I am his sister-in-law. I cried until I fainted in Sebastian's arms. Sebastian was originally calm, but dragged by me, he also chimed in to act. Imperial Father, the Crown Prince is bullying people too much. Emperor Xiao flew into a rage and finally had an excuse to depose the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince's reputation had already rotted from the last time. Keeping him would only soil the royal family's prestige. Even without Sebastian and me acting, the Emperor had long wanted to depose him. It was just that this act would definitely anger the Empress's faction. Returning to the prince's manor, I played chess with Sebastian. Why is my wife sure the Empress's faction will be forced to rebel? The Crown Prince was born the heir. The Empress's faction plotted for 20 years, how could they easily let go? My wife speaks very correctly. I smiled faintly. You and I just need to be the orioles behind, sitting still and reaping the fisherman's profit. Sebastian looked at me blankly, his eyes full of infatuation. His handsome, ascetic face was thinking wild thoughts again. Wife, do you want to take a midday nap? Let your husband carry you back to the room. I was very cooperative. On days when I cannot kill people, I really should find something else to distract my spirit. The Empress's faction rebelled. I let Sebastian go pick up the throne, while I went to the forbidden grounds of the rear palace. I found my mother, her ankles locked with chains. She was still as gentle and beautiful as in my memories, only her eyes were dazed and her mind unclear. I glanced once and knew she had been drugged with confusing medicine for many years. Mother, I am Sophia. I have come to take you out of this golden cage. Mother was still sluggish, but when I buried my head between her knees, she instinctively stroked my back gently, mumbling, Sophia. I blinked, smiling like a child. Mother, Sophia has taken revenge for you. All the enemies did not have good endings. Did Sophia do well? I even listened to the master and absolutely did not let others see my true face. I was truly obedient. On the other side, Sebastian finished clearing out the chaotic party. The Crown Prince and the Empress were both dead. The outside world thought the old emperor died at the hands of the Crown Prince. But in reality, he still kept his life. I still had many methods I wanted to use on him. Dying too early would be a benefit to him. Sebastian ascended the throne. The Chancellor's manor was confiscated. My scum father, Victor, was sent to the guillotine. His whole body was ulcerated from syphilis, and he was pelted with rotten vegetable leaves by the commoners, cursing him as filthy. Filthy. Lucas had people carry Cindy back to the Lou Manor, but as soon as he saw her true appearance, he almost fainted on the spot, insisting she was not the sister Cindy he loved. Cindy was driven out the door, her whereabouts unknown. The new emperor had just ascended the throne when the officials presented a memorial asking to expand the harem. That day, as soon as Sebastian returned to the inner palace, he dismissed all the palace servants, closed the palace doors tightly, and swore a poisonous oath to the heavens. Empress, we absolutely will not take in concubines. I looked at him in confusion. Why, being alone in the harem is truly very boring. Sebastian half knelt in front of me, holding my hand. But my empress, those ladies are innocent. You torturing just me alone is enough. Sebastian declared to the outside world that the empress was physically weak and sensitive, unable to bear even half a grievance. He loved me to the marrow and was willing to abolish the harem for me. Sigh, this life is truly unlivable, I will die of boredom. But thinking back, there are still quite a few treacherous officials in the court. My eyes immediately lit up. Your Majesty, I heard the heir of the Southwest King has entered the capital. The Crown Prince's faction has not been completely cleaned up yet. Let me help you share your worries. Sebastian hurriedly hugged my waist tightly, extremely tense. The Empress must know her limits. True strength does not always roar, sometimes it whispers from the shadows. Sophia's journey teaches us that in a world filled with treachery, survival belongs not to the loud, but to the patient and observant. Her greatest weapon was not the poison she wielded, but the arrogance of those who underestimated her fragility. By wearing a mask of weakness, she controlled her fate, proving that the most dangerous storms often arrive in the guise of a gentle breeze. Ultimately, we learn that dignity is never given, it is seized by those who have the wisdom to hide their claws until the perfect moment strikes. The story ends here for now. If it touched your heart or left you thinking, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and share Raccoon Tale to help more stories come to life. See you in the next tale.